Howdy y'all. Remember how I talked about Jackdaw's kill count? Well, there are even more topics I'd like to discuss that are similar to that. Something that is definitely interesting, but not something that would be more than 3 or 2 or even 1 minute. So I decided to turn this into a little mini-series called Race Rants, where it's just a quick, few minute long video talking about something interesting I found. And something interesting that I realized is that I'm going back on one of the beliefs about entry point that I held firmly, very firmly for a very long time, about the score. Now, if the name isn't ring a bell, and it's the final mission in the freelance heist, and I highly doubt there's anyone who doesn't know about that at point, but it's the DLC for entry point, so if you don't want spoilers, then click off this video, because this is all about spoilers. But basically, I firmly believe that there was only one freelancer. In the score, Harvey says that Solo isn't canon, as he's often the fourth wall break character. Now, this caused me to firmly believe that Harvey was a part of the mission as well in helping the freelancer. Meanwhile, other people believe that there was just multiple freelancers, multiple people in on the heist. Now, I personally didn't believe this because, well, they're never even mentioned or heard of, not even canonically. Harvey's little throwaway line is a fourth wall break, not that he was wrong. But I felt it impossible to believe that multiple other people would be involved, multiple other people who were never once mentioned anywhere, unless there was something that the community as a whole missed, which is, impossible. Some of these people are like bloodhounds looking for clues. I highly doubt there's something still hidden, at least something still hidden that is able to be publicly accessed. And there had to be more than one person helping, and Dimitri and Jade had their hands full, and it could only be Harvey. It makes more sense, even though there's no hints about him helping either. Him helping makes far more sense than some random character who has never even been mentioned before. So I firmly believe that Harvey just helped in on the plot. I've sparred with multiple players online about this, so that every time they always fail to convince me. The evidence just wasn't compelling enough. But that's all because they've always failed to mention that Harvey said that you need 3 trucks in order to have enough for 20 million, and in order for 3 trucks, you need 3 players. I always thought you only needed 2 players for this. Now, in my defense, it has been a long time since I played the freelance heist, so I probably misremembered it. And even then, in the scene where Harvey mentions this, it's completely different now. Sish often has a tendency to read word cutscenes a long while after they've been reposted. They did that with Dedication, and they did it with it now. This is definitely worded differently than how it was first uploaded, and I was remembering the version that was first uploaded. I don't know if that meant the truck number or player number required for it changed over time, but in my defense, it does show that the dialogue did change at one point, and I was remembering the old version. And there's no other third person that could help. If we only needed 2 people, that would be fine, since again, I previously thought we only need 2 people, so Harvey could fill that role. But there's a third person, and there's nobody else who could possibly help, then the only possible other answer would be that, yeah, there is some obscure other character who was never mentioned before that was involved in the plot. And if that still doesn't convince you, then I also have words straight from the horse's mouth. After I finally realized that 3 players really were needed, I decided just for that final bit of confirmation to ask Hollow, which if you don't know is one of the QAs of Entry Point. Now just a warning, not every QA is trustworthy. Dart specifically admitted to me about trolling the community, often spreading facts that are lies, just to troll them. So not every QA is trustworthy, but Hollow is trustworthy. And she confirmed that yeah, it's through hired mercenaries. She even says that there was a pitch where at one point, your teammates would be with you in the mission, and then you would have to kill them before the final cutscene, except you don't make it because you're Harvey's best friend. There's no way he would shoot you. I mean, come on, that would be ridiculous. Though the idea was ultimately scrapped. Jade was actually in on Harvey's conman antics before they stopped being friends, because he sucks. So I can easily see her going along with this, but Dimitri would have his heart broken if something like this happened in front of him, and it was supposed to happen, with the heli pickup, in the heli pickup even. She specifically says it was either in, during, or before the heli pickup. I know Dimitri really wouldn't have a choice, so yeah, it's definitely possible they would still do this right in front of him, but I would also like to think that it was just between Harvey and the freelancer in some isolated place where they themselves take care of the hired mercenaries, and Jade and Dimitri never find out what happened to them, or just Harvey alone. I do personally prefer this version I came up with. Again, the thing about them taking them to an isolated place, separate from departure, does not come from Hollow's mouth at all. That's entirely my own speculation. And it's the route I prefer, because honestly, doing something like that in front of Dimitri would be risky and kind of pointlessly heartless. Even though he's supposed to die not long later, Dimitri's very much on the moral side. Plus, I don't want him to see something like that. That would be heartbreaking. He can barely even comprehend the idea of carrying a weapon on him. Even with his life at stake, he outright refused the cartel when they told him to carry a gun. He just wouldn't. How the hell do you think he would take a scene like that? That would be completely traumatizing, and I don't want him to see that, even if that's what might happen. So yeah, rest in peace the hired mercenaries that I just started believing in. See y'all.